ground, but I ain't getting any higher. I've been trying to find a way to set the world on fire.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We're going to be doing a lot on the draft today. We got a call coming in from our Ohio correspondent, Colin Callahan. You guys will get used to hearing him a little bit. But before we get to all that, let's say what's up to John and Sean. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It's Thursday. That means I got one more work day before the weekend. And honestly, this time next week, I'll be in Massachusetts getting ready for the infamous New England Metal and Hardcore Festival. So I get to see Killswitch and Black Dahlia Murder.
There you go. What's up with you, Sean?
This is going to be my last show for a couple weeks because I'm probably going to be a dad by next Friday.
There you go.
Rock-a-bye baby, man.
Yeah.
Call us from the hospital. We'll record it. You should just bring the camera, film the whole thing. We'll put it up. We'll put it up on the site.
I'll do just that, man.
Yeah, we got
like behind the blanket thing too.
Yeah, you got your own football baby now.
Yep, football baby. Yo, no lie, I got to tell you guys about this real quick. My daughter's first word was definitely dada, all right? Now, the second one was mama, and I crap you not, the third one, touchdown! Every time my daughter sees the Giants logo, all she does, touchdown! But with that, with her being an up-and-coming fan, a young fan, let's talk about a young thing, a young program, franchise.
Franchise is a first of its kind social platform that's going to allow you to have the power, all right, as a fan, to make decisions. You get to be the owner and GM, and you get to work with a real team, people. You get to actually work with
coach.
a real team. All right? This is no joke. So you can sign up for free, and you'll earn chances, more chances, I should say, to win if you share on Facebook and Twitter. But, you also get, you
some
sign up with that.
Jerseys,
yeah.
and some autographed helmets if you win. And it's all controlled over your cell phone. What it is, a bunch of ex-NFL players bought an actual arena team, and through your cell phone you basically get a vote, like some stock in the team and the direction they're gonna move on in.
Yeah,
talking about the direction. You guys got to go to joinfranchise.com.
Yes.
That's joinfranchise.com.
And that's franchise, where they give the power back to the fans.
Now, talking about franchises changing directions, the Jets are still trying to figure out that quarterback problem, but it looks as though they're finally going to talk about giving Fitzpatrick a little bit more money, and maybe he'll stick around. Manish Mehta reports that the Jets have asked left tackle DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I'm getting into the draft. DeBrickashaw Ferguson to take a pay cut so they can get some more money to re-sign Fitz. All right, Ferguson was scheduled to make $14.1 million against the cap in 2016. They're thinking that the cut would probably be like a $4 or $5 million cut, which Jets fans would be pretty happy about.
He's never missed a game.
Well, no, he's never missed a game, but he's 32 now. He's the highest paid left tackle in the game. Well, I don't know if he's the highest paid left tackle in the game, but that was the highest salary cap hit for next year out of a left tackle.
That's a big one.
All right, and he's 32, but he has never missed a game due to injury. But
ability, man.
Now Fitzpatrick really breathed some life into a dying franchise. Don't get me wrong, he's got Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker there now with a new head coach. And Fitzpatrick, his best year of his career was probably with Buffalo back in 2012 when he threw for 24 touchdowns. All right, but last year in 2015, he even topped that with 31 touchdowns. Okay, but that's not the story of his career. He's really a lot more interception prone. I think he's had something like 38 fumbles over the course of his career.
Well, he's got to go up against those New England Patriots twice, and not only that Buffalo defense is hard, man.
Yeah.
The Jets, Fitzpatrick is definitely not the long-term option, but I've been saying since before last season ended, right now he's the best choice for the Jets, all right? And they need to work up a backup plan behind him. And I mean backup not in case of injury, just, to the next man into the throne. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess that's enough on Fitz. You guys got anything else on Fitz and the Jets?
I got nothing for you.
Nope.
All right, I guess we'll get to one more little news item here real quick. But before we do that, John, why don't you tell everybody about Reputation Resolve?
Well, Reputation Resolve is an all-in-one software that's going to help you build and manage your reputation for your business online. This will help you get connected to more of your customers to help you get them 5-star ratings and great feedbacks. So make sure that you hit them up at solutions.reputationresolve.com to help better serve your customers and start growing your business today.
That's solutions.reputationresolve.com. Go check them out. But with that, I mean, hold up there. We got this crazy harebrained lawsuit. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's 7 fans that are suing the NFL, Roger Goodell personally, and this part really doesn't make sense, Robert Kraft. Okay? Now, the reason why is for the loss of the draft picks. They're suing for the loss of the New England Patriots draft picks, all right? And one season ticket holder from Connecticut says that the loss of the picks have left his 7-year-old daughter disillusioned. There's also a man from Florida who's tagged on to the lawsuit saying that the NFL's sanctions have caused him much stress and loss of sleep. The complaint also alleges common law fraud, negligence, racketeering, and emotional distress. And somehow these Patriots fans are also suing the owner of their own team, which makes no sense.
Boo-hoo.
You know what I mean? So,
well, if we're really going to have a lawsuit against the NFL, why don't we have extortion, added
well,
to
I mean,
that?
they put a racketeering.
Because, think about how all the stadiums get built. They're built off of tax dollars.
Not everywhere, not the Giants. But yes, that is true. Welfare for billionaires. The Giants did not do that, however. That's why they're paired up with the Jets.
Yeah, but most stadiums out there are on the tax dollars, and not only that, it's not like you get a break and it's like, hey, guess what, tax-paying citizen of this county, you get some tickets to the show
that you have to pay for.
You still have, so you have to pay more money for the things that you already had to pay for, and then so it's if there's any real lawsuits, why don't you guys focus on the real things and and be ethically take an ethical approach to it.
Well, this one is a little. Oh, go ahead, Sean. You got something?
Can anyone explain to me why are they suing Robert Kraft?
I know that doesn't make any sense.
Because I guess it's his organization. It's his organization, so he's going to be the fall guy.
And he didn't fight Roger Goodell like Brady did.
Yeah,
he just kind of went with it.
Well, yeah, because honestly, it's just whatever. Because if you're going to fight. It's like fighting the big corporations right now. They have the money to throw at the lawyers to, keep the process ongoing in the courtroom so that
and to save the name of the company.
It exhausts your, funds because you keep throwing money at, this case that eventually is going to go away, and then they'll just sign it off as a loss.
I mean, this is a little bit more legitimate than, say, when the dude in jail tried to sue the NFL and the referee for the Des Bryant playoff catch, no catch type thing, and it was handwritten and mailed in. These people actually have some lawyers with them, and they've done everything official, not handwritten and everything like that, and they're really investing money.
They might as well have done it handwritten. You know why? Because you look silly. All right, if you're that so invested in a game, okay, it's a game. All right, it is a form of bread and circus of modern day for you to enjoy. Okay, if you can't handle that, then maybe you need to seek counseling.
Or you could seek a vacation. And they could do that by hitting up our friend at angelsfriendlygetaways.com. Now, Angel can hook you up with full packages. You're a sports fan, right? You want to go to that away game? You want to follow the team when they're going playing the Dolphins? You want to go down to sunny Miami? This dude at angelsfriendlygetaways.com will hook you up with the air, with the plane tickets, the hotel, the game tickets, even a rent-a-car. So you can go to his website or you can call him at 1-7 1-716-980-5727. That's 1-716-980-5727. He can even tell you how to get paid to go on vacation. Now, do you guys have anything else on this cockamamie lawsuit, or should we get into our draft talks with the NFC East and the AFC North?
Well, you got the NFC East, and
Let's
we got
do the NFC East.
Yeah, we got the NFC East, man. Like, well, I like to call it the NFC Feast.
The NFC Feast, huh?
Yeah, because, you know, they gave up a lot of W's to other teams, and they weren't really.
All right, who wants to go first? Should I go first with the Giants, or you want to go first
Like,
with
how
the
many?
Eagles?
Like, you know,
Yeah,
how
let's
many
go
of
ahead.
how many of those teams finished 500?
The Redskins were the only one with a win.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, so that's that's why I said this. The Feast. They gave
Calm
up a
down,
lot.
AFC. Calm down, NFC South.
So-
Calm down, NFC South.
All right.
Okay.
Three-time NFC South champion.
But before we get into this, before the draft, we're going to start taking probably 2 divisions a night, and we're going to tell you what's going on in their draft room for the first round pick. I'm going to get things rolling with the draft. Okay, now, first of all, the draft is April 28th to the 30th. I'm going to get things moving first with the Giants, who have the 10th overall pick. Now, one guy that's definitely on the Giants' mind, Jerry Reese, definitely talking about a man by the name of Vernon Hargraves, a cornerback for the Florida Gators. All right, now this dude is a great cover guy, and he would be a great complement to DRC, and we might be able to stick him in that slot. You know what I mean? Now, I mean, the Giants, they haven't really had depth at corner or defensive back in general in years. I mean, they did address it in free agency, but I think having another cover safety like this would really take some pressure off another cover corner like this would really take some pressure off the Giants' young safety. Another guy I could see them going with. Now, the main reason why I put him on this list is because Pro Football Focus actually mocked him to the Giants like yesterday or something like that, and I'm talking about Miles Jack. Now, this would be a far fall if he got all the way down to number 10. But Miles Jack is out of UCLA. He's a 4'3" outside linebacker. Really good on the weak side because he's a great cover guy, right? He's a great cover guy. And, I mean, the Giants could really use that. We've been getting burned by Jason Witten. And who's the Redskins tight end? What's his name? Reed? Jordan Reed. So we could really use a linebacker that can cover. I mean, he plays like 3 different positions. People are saying he could be a Pro Bowler at 5 different spots. I don't think he's going to fall to the Giants, but if he does, because he did have a little bit of a knee, well, he had a knee injury.
Yeah,
same thing as the Rams running back Todd Gurley, same injury as Todd Gurley. But I mean, then I'm going to jump over and give you guys. Of course, everybody's been talking about Ezekiel Elliott being connected to the Giants. He's come out and said he wants to play for the Giants. He thinks with Manning, Beckham, and himself, they'd win a Super Bowl in no time. He said. I mean, he's a really good, solid running back, one of the top prospects in years. People are saying since Adrian Peterson, but he does mirror Shane Vereen a lot. He does mirror Shane Vereen a lot, even though he wasn't that productive. Not that he wasn't productive for the Giants last year, maybe just underutilized. And then the last guy I got on the Giants watch list would be Ronnie Stanley, coming out of Notre Dame, offensive lineman. He could play both left and right tackle. If he wants to play left tackle in the NFL, though, he's going to have to work on his technique a little bit. But I mean, he could really solidify the Giants' offensive line. We'd have all young guys then. Plug him in on the right. Let Flowers play left. I really think no matter what, the Giants got to address the trenches somewhere, and that's who I think will be there if they want to address it in the first round. Sean, you want to go with the Eagles?
Yeah, let's do the Eagles. And first of all, I'm going to preface this with a conversation that I had with my brother maybe a week ago. And we saw things a little bit differently, but I'm going to start off by saying this because there's been a ton of rumors, at least around the Philly sports fan, talking to Philly sports, that the Eagles are one of several teams that are talking about trying to trade up in the draft to number 1 in order to draft Carson Wentz. Now, I think that is a flat-out mistake. Now, you're sitting at 8. at 8 you can't really miss. Like
You still get a blue chip guy at 8.
Exactly. You can't. You're sitting pretty at 8. Just stay there at 8. I mean, he's a North Dakota quarterback. That's 1AA. That's not. We're not talking about Andrew Luck here, okay? No, I'm not saying Carson Wentz doesn't have a future in the NFL, but I think it's too risky to try to. You're gonna end up mortgaging your future to try to trade up that far to get a quarterback that is questionable at best. Like he's
You don't want to get stuck with Redskins RG3.
You don't want a repeat of like an RG3. Not that Carson Wentz is RG3, but I'm saying don't do it.
The draft day trade. Yeah.
Be conservative on draft day. Sit at 8. Let the board come to you, and just take the best player available. Now, if it's Jared Goff, you don't have to reach up for him. If it's Carson Wentz, you can take him. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that, but don't mortgage your future to try to trade up to get a quarterback in this draft. Now, that being said, the first guy I have on the Eagles draft list, and this is who I would take. This is what a lot of analysts and stuff, mock drafts, have the Eagles taking, at least early on, was the guy Andrew just mentioned, Ronnie Stanley. He's 6'6", 312-pound offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. He's a former basketball player. He was a power forward. He's exceptionally athletic, and he's a really quick reaction time, great pass blocker. He's durable. Since 2013, since he became a starter, he has never missed a game. Never missed a game. That durability on the offensive line, considering what the offensive line has been for the Eagles over the last couple years, is key. Now, he could play left or right. Lane Johnson, he just signed a new contract, so he's going to be around for a while. You can throw him on the left side if you want. You could keep him at right. You can have Stanley play left tackle. That's going to solidify your offensive line. You got young guys on both sides. That's going to be great for the Eagles. The second guy, Ezekiel Elliott. That's who I think the Eagles might end up actually taking.
If the Cowboys don't steal him at 4, he's on my Cowboys
if he's still
list.
on the board, and actually going back to Ronnie Stanley, that's because Laramie Tunsil, I think, will be off the board by then. Ezekiel Elliott, he's 6 foot, 225 pounds. Out of Ohio State.
No, honestly, Jalen Ramsey will probably go off the board with them Cowboys, so you might have a shot at. I think you're going to have that shot at Ezekiel.
Some people see Ezekiel Elliott. Some people see him as like behind Tunsil, the second best player in the draft. Some people, but then they devalue the running back. 592
carries for 3,961 yards. That's 7.6 yards a carry. 43 touchdowns, 58 receptions, 449 yards. That's a 7.7 average per reception. With the Eagles, they don't. I mean, since DeMarco Murray left, I know he didn't do much last year, but you don't really have a running game anymore. Darren Sproles is 33 years old, I think. Ryan Matthews is not a premier back like he was maybe 5 or so years ago in San Diego. He's not a 3-down back. Ezekiel Elliott can be a 3-down back, and I think he will be no matter who he goes to.
What's your percentage of probability on that? What do you think? What do you think that they're going to pull the trigger on him? Because think about it, I don't want to, and I'm sorry if I'm intruding on your doubts, the running back situation is not what they need to address too much because they signed Alfred Morris.
I keep forgetting that too. We said that to John Cowboys.
So the Cowboys, and they're coming in at 4. So that I think they're going to probably grab Jalen, because they got to address that, the secondary, because you're going up against your boy, Mr. Long Hands, Mr. Sticky Fingers, OBJ over there, and
OBJ.
That's why I patted the jersey, because I had to look at it all day. but
I mean, but I could also, you never know, they might go after a quarterback. The Cowboys, they might go with Jared Goff
because the teams after that are Jacksonville Jaguars, and they need a cornerback. Then the Baltimore Ravens are up, and they need offensive line, and a quarterback. Then you got San Fran. They need a quarterback and some linebackers, and then You're up, Philly.
Yep. So who else you got in Philly sights? We got a little too on to Dallas, but who else you got in Philly sights?
Oh, that was it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, all right.
Well, as far as the first round goes, those two guys I would be happy with.
So what do you think? So do you think do you agree with me that Ezekiel will make it to your team?
You think it's probable?
It's probable. It's really hard to say because some mock drafts have him, I think, going as early as as early as 8, but as late as I don't even know.
Well, 8 is you.
Well, all right. Well, what I'm saying is that, all right.
That's what I'm saying. 8 is you. Yeah.
So you can get him at 8.
Yeah, I think some mock drafts
might
actually have him going earlier.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say.
All right, so let's just take it. For the sake of because the Chargers are 3 and they already have somebody.
That's actually what I was gonna say. Before you guys brought up the Cowboys, Alfred Morris being signed by the Cowboys, I think earlier mock drafts had the Cowboys taking Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel Elliott is a real possibility for the Eagles, and he's an impact player. Immediately.
So if I was you,
he's a star.
I would write a nice little thank you card to Mr. Alfred Morris. Okay.
He's still got to go in there, and he might make Zeke fall to you.
Yeah, he's still got to play against him.
But moving on to the Cowboys, I had, of course, Ezekiel Elliott possibly going there. We're not going to talk about him anymore. I said Jared Goff. You guys know a lot about him. One of the quarterbacks, 6'4", 215. Where'd he go, Cal?
Who?
Jared Goff.
Yeah, he went to Cal.
Yeah. So, that's where Aaron Rodgers went.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But also,
his father played in the MLB for 6 years.
Who do you think that they're going to honestly take, though? Who, addressing their needs?
The Cowboys? Well, I'll tell you, that's who I was going to go with last. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Jared Goff, he's really got that quality arm. He can make all the throws with velocity and down the field. But
Is he the Romo replacement?
Oh, if they drafted him, without a doubt. Yeah, Romo would stay on the team, and Jerry Jones would be smart. As much as I hate the Cowboys, Jerry Jones has really been trying to build that offensive line. Do you know what I mean? And I think he would do, after you get your offensive line built, then you want to school your quarterback. Do you know what I mean? So he's got Romo in there to bring him in. I think Romo would start the year and then go out in week 8, just like he used to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And bring in the rookie that way, which I think is proper, and I think Jerry Jones would make that decision. But I don't think that's who they're going to draft. I think they're going to go with Bosa.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, man. They need to address the cornerback situation. All right, and there's Jalen Ramsey and Vernon Hargreaves. So they might address that because, like I said, you got big, quick receivers now in that division that you have to go up against, mainly your team. You got to contain him.
Not so much.
Yeah, but I was just saying though, Jerry Jones has been trying to build from the trenches. He's got the offensive side done. Now he needs to get that defensive side done, and there's no better way to do it with a 6'5", 269-pounder. Do you know what I mean? He's got 2 family members who are also first-round draft picks, his dad and his uncle. Now it doesn't say much for him, but I'm just talking about the genes. The same thing with Jared Goff's dad being in the MLB. They just have that blood. Do you know what I mean? That's where you got to get that stuff. That's where you're going to be a natural. Do you know what I mean? And that's pretty much what people say about Joey Bosa. He's just a natural. He's got great burst off the snap. He's got great, powerful hands. Good for all that wrestling, that sumo style stuff. You know what I mean? You really need that in the trenches. And he's a bull rusher, which is kind of a pro and a con because he's a great bull rusher, but as of now, he kind of seems like a one-trick pony.
Dallas will grab Vernon Hargreaves out of Florida.
But
that's who I feel. Honestly, because it addresses their situation immediately, and he goes right into work.
All right, Sean, you want to do something?
Who do you think that they're going to take though? You
I'm going with Bosa.
You going with Bosa? You think so?
Going with?
I think Cowboys.
Yeah. Bosa, Ramsey, Goff.
They need to shore up that defense.
So you're going Bosa too?
Yeah, that makes the most sense to me.
But they need a defensive tackle before they need middle linebackers. Because they got that one dude that just came back, the blonde-haired guy. Oh man, I just
Sean,
maybe.
Not Sean Lee. No, I know. The linebacker, the Cowboys linebacker. It's not important.
Yeah, I guess it's not important. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. I tried to get you in there, but But
even
what
know.
about them?
I hate
What
the
about them
Cowboys.
Redskins? You know, the division winners, Sean. What do you like? Who do they need to address? You know, what positions I should say are in need of?
Well, according to a lot of mock drafts, they have the Redskins, who are at pick 21, so they're pretty far down the board.
That's
addressing the defense. Guy here, defensive tackle Jaron Reed out of Alabama. He's 6'4", 313 pounds. So he's an
Big boy.
He's a Crimson Tide guy. So I mean, Alabama is known for their defense.
And
So-
I bet you could plug up that run real nice.
yeah, he was the anchor of the defensive front there for the Crimson Tide.
That championship defense.
They say he's good at changing directions. He's a big man that goes after the ball well. In the Senior Bowl, he showed he can stand up an O-lineman, which is good for stopping the run. You know, you stand up an offensive lineman, that makes it a lot harder for those lanes to open up. So that's a plus there. The second guy I got, who was actually had a knee injury, so we'll see what happens with this. Jalen Smith, the outside linebacker, 6'2", 223 pounds, out of Notre Dame. They say he's a slippery, flexible type guy, balanced and great at pursuing the football. The ball, good at getting after the ball carrier. He's explosive, and he's got a knack for knocking back the ball carrier. Like he'll pick, knock the guy up, push him back, loss of yards. So that's good. And they say he can play in both the 4-3 and the 3-4. So he's got some versatility to him.
Now you covered them Redskins. What do you think about them trying to get Ryan Kelly and addressing that center position?
Well, I mean, the Redskins, like that, now that they're losing Morris, that run game's really been down. So maybe, do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I think the Redskins are going to lean more towards wide receiver, to be honest, with Deshaun Jackson being so injury prone, Pierre Garçon being so old, and, maybe Kirk Cousins is their guy. Maybe. Nobody really knows, because it looked like he was. Then it seemed like the Redskins, they ended their negotiations. Now he's got
wide receiver wise. Who do you think? Who did you cover?
I'm thinking maybe the kid out of Baylor.
What about
Corey
Laquan
Coleman.
Treadwell?
I don't think he's going to be there all the way back.
You think
there.
so?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because I think there's a lot of defensive players that are going to go off the board before it gets.
Treadwell, he was kind of looked at more as like a second round guy.
Yeah, exactly. So if you
I don't know.
So maybe
Kiper,
taking him at 21 might be a stretch.
But Mike Mayock has him as the best wide receiver in the draft in his rankings.
But they never really said that he was first round quality
Material,
talent.
Yeah. So exactly. But if it's a need that you need to address, then you need to address that need. But they also need to address that defensive line as well.
Maybe not at 21 though.
Well, I mean, Sean.
Yeah, true.
Sean did talk about addressing the defensive line.
Yeah, they got it.
That's what I think the Redskins are looking at. At least that's what.
So who falls there then? Because they're obviously not going to be able to grab DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, but what about that DT? I think they'll go with that DT.
One more guy here, Kenny Clark, defensive tackle out of UCLA, 6'3", 314 pounds, another big defensive tackle. Good things about him. He's got low hips, which he's got a lot of leverage, a lot of power. He's low and hard off the ball, which translate to he'll win in leverage. He'll be able to push back offensive linemen. He played defensive tackle and nose guard, and so he's versatile. Another guy who's versatile, and maybe he's the right pick for the Redskins.
Okay. All right, before we jump over into the AFC North, I know you did some work on the Steelers, John. I got to tell you guys, if you want to go and see that Steelers game, if you want to go and see that Giants game, you guys got to hit up the Ticket Liquidators at 866-853 3454. That's 866-853-3454. They have an unbeatable inventory of 4 million tickets to over 83,000 different events worldwide. We're talking concerts, golf, worldwide. You can go see Man U if you're one of them soccer hooligans, and it's got 125% money back, worry free guarantee. John, why don't you tell us about the Steelers War Room?
Well, they're at the 25th pick, and they're going to have to really address that cornerback position, which a lot of teams are, in need of the cornerback position. But at the 25th pick, I don't know if those big names are going to still be out there in order for them to, get a valuable pick out of that. So that's, let's say Jalen Ramsey's already gone. Vernon Hargreaves already gone. That leaves maybe Mackenzie Alexander out of Clemson as their possible, top need, because they're in need of that cornerback position. They also need to get a safety, so they need to.
Yeah, that defense hasn't.
Yeah, that
been the
defense
same
has
in
been
years.
Yeah,
especially, Palomalu was injured a lot towards the end of his career.
So
Ike Taylor retired. You know what I mean? Like,
if it gets down to maybe like linebacker wise, and they can't find anybody, and like maybe McKenzie's off the board now, you can go possibly with maybe Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame.
Jalen Smith, yeah. I'm hearing a lot of good things about Jalen Smith.
So, because I don't think Miles Jack is going to be there.
Oh, no. What? No way. Miles Jack's going to be there that far back.
Exactly.
Man.
So that's why, more like Jalen Smith,
Jalen Smith could also end up, going in like that 9 to 13 range. He might not fall down there either, but
the Steelers need to address their offensive guard position. So, they probably could go with maybe Cody Whitehair out of Kansas State.
I don't know much about him. Low down on him.
Yeah, no, I think, when it gets down to the things that they need to, obviously in the ranking of it all, they need to start with the secondary. That secondary needs to be addressed. And since it's their first pick, they have to go and try to get something, positive that, that they can throw this person right into work, because, they need to compete. So, but then the offensive guard position would be maybe like a fallback if you can't find somebody. You need to address that as well, because you need to protect your aging quarterback.
Now, Sean, you worked something up on the Ravens?
Yeah, I got the Ravens here. They're at number 6. DeForest Buckner. That's who I got for the Ravens. He's a 6'7", 291-pounder out of Oregon. He's got a massive wingspan, gets off blocks, and creates space. He's a fluid lower body, especially in his footwork, moving laterally, good length, but his length could be a cause for concern in the leverage department because he's so tall. 6'7", that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
pretty big for a defensive, whatever he is, defensive tackle.
Oh man!
Usually 6'7", you usually see that in offensive lineman, not a defensive lineman.
Yeah, DeForest Buckner, yeah, defensive tackle. That is pretty big. You usually want them low center of gravity guys,
right?
Just space absorbers. You know what I mean? But everybody seems to be raving about Buckner. You know what I mean?
I get
definitely. Whoa! I didn't even mean to do that. But that's what's gonna happen now. You know what I mean? The Ravens are just gonna grab Buckner. But everybody's been really high on Buckner from the start of draft season and everything like that. They got a nice early pick there at 6, mostly due to all the injuries they had last year.
Right.
So maybe he could help them out. Also, they might want to look at some offensive linemen and get Flacco a little bit more prudent.
You know what we also forgot to plug though?
What's that?
That this our segment.
Well, we didn't.
We got to do Cincinnati still, don't we?
Oh yeah, but although it's late, we got to do it right.
4-minute hut.
There you go. I wasn't even quite sure this was. Today's
I was like,
I guess it is now.
I was like, because we're covering, the 4-minute hut from now until draft day. We're gonna try to cover as many
we're gonna hit
as
2
possible.
divisions a day.
Yeah,
and we're gonna knock them all out.
So there you go. And that's our
4-minute hut. 4-minute hut.
Now the draft falls on the 28th, which is a Thursday. Generally, when we're recording, so we might be giving you live coverage of that first round, breaking it all down for you. All right.
It's just as long as it's not on my birthday.
Now, John,
That's the last day. So
Why don't you tell me about the division winner, Bengals, and
the Bengals out of Cincinnati need to get on the board and grab a wide receiver. Okay, they're in desperate need of a wide receiver. Now they're at the 24th pick. So, there's going to be, there might be, maybe I don't know if Laquan will be there. Yeah, I don't know. He's gonna be there. Maybe Tyler Boyd at a Pitt. He might be there. Maybe Corey Coleman at a Baylor.
Do you think they're looking for a number 2 to go on the other side of
Most definitely
AJ Green with
Exactly.
Marvin Jones
Because-
departing for Detroit?
Exactly. So you need somebody to open up that, you need targets. You need threats in order to spread those defenders in order for your playmakers to make plays.
I mean, Corey Coleman makes me a little nervous, though, having played with Baylor and their, gimmicky offense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Lots of times those guys aren't crisp route runners and stuff like that, but they are picking in the 20s. So,
Also, they need a nose tackle, which, sticking with, the University of Baylor, there's Andrew Billings. He could probably go off the board there for them because, if they can't get a solid wide receiver that they feel confident in, then, they're going to have to address that nose tackle position.
Yeah, wide receiver is definitely not one of the more fruitful positions in this draft.
Nope.
But I don't know, though. See, the way I think about it, everybody's like, oh, it's defense heavy. But see, I think if it's truly defense heavy, right, I think maybe I want to wait to get my defensive guy because there's so many of them and grab one of the offensive guys earlier because there's not as many. So there's going to be even slimmer pickings in the second round. Do you know what I mean?
True, right.
And if defense
Well, it
is
depends
so
on-
deep,
It depends on what your needs are.
yeah, but I always try and think of it best player available and everything, and your need. There's so many things that weigh into it, but I'm just saying, looking at it in that direction.
It's not always best player available. Usually, with the top 5 to 10 picks, that's what you want to do. But if you're picking in the 20s, you might just want to. I don't want to say reach, but just go after somebody.
I disagree.
Like I said, they need a wide receiver. They need a nose tackle. Wide receiver wise, being that they're towards the end of the picks. The top players are going to be gone. People are going to have the same needs. So by that time, it's going to be, they're going to have to be like, oh, that wasn't our initial thought of point of,
So you're
addressing.
saying take the best player available,
Exactly.
especially in the first round.
Especially,
I see it.
and especially with having, 3 different solid positions to work with for need. They need a linebacker, they need a nose tackle, and they need a wide receiver. So you're a little spread around, so you can, maybe hopefully address maybe that offensive need, but then if need be and there's somebody there that's going to fit your scheme, you got to go fail in those other positions.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Because it's this is like playing playground ball. You know what I mean? You got to make your pick right, because that's your game.
I guess it really all depends on what the general manager is thinking. Do you want to address a position of need, or do you want to go for just the best player available, whether or not it's a need?
Yeah. So
See, I think just as philosophy in general, you always go after the best player available.
Well, yeah.
Because I think when you fill your holes, you do that with free agency, and then you really build the core of your team from the draft. Do you know what I'm saying? So, just
I get it,
because
yeah.
I might not need, but the Giants need so many things. Just because we might not necessarily need any more, we'll say, corners, okay, just to throw one out there, we could use them, but I'm not gonna go, oh, we need a corner, so let me grab one. No, I'm gonna get the best available player, because then my team's just gonna be built up with blue chip guys, and they're all gonna mature and grow together, and we're just gonna have the highest level of talent, and let that talent, they'll plug in holes, really use a farm system like the Green Bay Packers.
Well, here's an interesting question in a war room on draft day. Let's say you got 2 guys on your board, right? 2 guys on your board.
Then I would go
and
by
one,
need.
and,
Then I would
and
go
one
by need.
guy, let's say the guy that you got on the
flip a
top
coin.
isn't necessarily a position of need, but he is the best player available, and he falls to you. But you got a really big hole at corner, like you said, and there's the corner
Trey bait.
that could go off the board. Either
John
a
hit it
couple
on the
picks,
head.
a couple picks after you, or in the next round. Do you take that position of need,
No,
or
John
do you
hit it on the
draft
head.
the best player available?
No, I'm going to go with choice C and trade back.
That's all right. That works too.
That's more.
And then you can sure up that maybe you get that guy.
See, at first I thought you were going to say, well, what if your two top guys are there? If my two top guys are there, then I'll maybe lean on
but that's
need.
what I'm asking.
But
Though. I'm just saying situationally. Let's say you think that your second guy on the board doesn't come back to you in that next round, or you can't make a trade to get back into that
I would
round.
really consider trading back. And then if I couldn't trade back and I had them both pretty much equal, I would then go with need.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I got
All
you.
right. So, I mean, we're going to save the Browns for our guest, Colin, and let's bring Colin.
Yeah, let's give him a call right now.
All right. All right, now we're going to welcome in Colin Callahan, who is the voice of Bedlam's Ohio correspondent. So now, what we're going to do here, he's going to tell us some draft room knowledge that he's got on the Browns to finish up our talk on the AFC North, but then he's going to really get into some prospects on the linebackers, the quarterbacks, and the running backs. So, Colin, man, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
We're doing all right. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
All right, so why don't you tell me, what do you think is going to be going on round one in the Browns draft room?
I think that the Browns will select Carson Wentz. That's not exactly who I want, but it doesn't make sense to me because RG3 may not be the long-term solution, and that's what Cleveland's been needing ever since they came back. So a Carson Wentz, who I think does have a lot of potential, I would like to see the Browns get like a Miles Jack, who's a very versatile player, who can play safety, linebacker, or even more specifically an inside linebacker, outside linebacker. Or I can see him get like a Jalen Ramsey, who can play corner or a safety. And the dude is also really good at special teams too. And I'm just really excited for any player that they draft that is not a quarterback at the second spot.
Now, how would you feel if the Browns decided to trade back?
I guess it would depend how far they got and I guess what they got. But, I mean, if they fell back to, say, like the number 7 spot, like 49ers, want to trade up and get a quarterback. If we were able to somehow get like a first rounder for next year, I would like that.
Yeah, I think you definitely would, and you'd be able to get some of those guys that you named, perhaps.
Honestly,
yeah, and I think it's a possibility that the Dallas Cowboys get a quarterback there. So the 49ers really don't like a Paxton Lynch. They can be scared of us getting one at 2, and they can be scared of the Dallas Cowboys getting the one that the Browns don't get.
Yeah, and just missing out completely. Yeah, exactly. What do you got, John?
I got something real quick. You guys also have to address your defensive line this year. In order, I think, for Cleveland to go back to being, a relevant team, they need to reestablish that dog pound mentality, and that was that defense. So, I honestly, there's some good, there's some good D linemen like DeForest Buckner from Oregon. Come on, that you can. I think that's where you guys should go. Because
how do you feel about Buckner?
Because if you guys already gambled on quarterbacks before and it hasn't worked out in your favor. I know it's an ongoing joke, and I'm sorry, and I feel you because I'm a Panthers fan. So I've gone through that drought, and now I have Cam Newton, and I'm like, please don't ever get hurt, all right? And but what do you feel about that? Do you think that they're gonna go address that defensive line and get him, or do you think they're gonna stay with the quarterback, and go for Wentz, or who else can they get? They could
Well, I mean, they can get people like, what's his name? They can get Bosa. They can get anybody they want. They might even be able to get Tunsil
you also
if the Titans pass.
He mentioned Jalen Ramsey though.
That's the name.
And that's
He also said Miles Jack too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but Jalen Ramsey is probably their best bet as well.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, he's more towards that
like
real
I said,
top end.
There's a common theme: defense wins championships, right? So you need to if you have fundamental holes in that area, you need to address them, and I think that they can because Roethlisberger's getting old. And who else? And then Joe Flacco is coming with.
Oh, you're talking about the other.
The other. This is
I was
the.
like, where are you going with this?
Where am I going with this? I'm naming the people that he's going to be going up against.
I got you.
You know what I mean? And then he's going to have RG3, who, basically had a clipboard in his hand, so he's just about as good as a quarterback coach. He's like, yeah, I got some. I played some football, but I got this clipboard too. So, come on. But I think, address that defense. What do you think?
What do you think about that, Colin?
I do not like Bosa for the Browns because Bosa is more of a 4-3 defensive end. So if we were to address the D line, I'd rather get a DeForest Buckner, who is all of 6'7". He's jacked, long arms. He's a prototypical 3-4 defensive end. He has some pass rushing moves, and he is just all around just like a bear on that defensive line. So if we were to go with the D line, I would rather have a DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because I was like, I would grab him up immediately. Because you're going to need to put pressure on those guys, and we already see that they have aging wide receivers, and now the Steelers lost a receiver because he couldn't puff and pass in discrete areas,
Yeah.
All right, well, real quick, guys, I got to tell you, for all your debt consolidation needs, trying to fix that credit, buy that new car, get that new house, you guys have got to call Cura Debt at 844-255-6458. That's Cura Debt at 844-255-6458. Now, we're on with Colin still, but let's jump over. Why don't you tell me, taking it like a scout's look at it.
I got one question for you, Colin.
Yeah.
I got one question, all right? Who's your number one wide receiver right now?
My number one is, it'll probably surprise you if you guys are pretty aware of the draft. My number one is Michael Thomas.
No, he's been going up boards. I wouldn't mind.
Because right now your depth chart does not look great. I think Terrell Pryor is your number one wide receiver right now,
and they still don't know which one he's going to do.
Because Josh Gordon's coming back now, so maybe he can. This will be a year that he can prove that he's a football player.
Solid.
He is solid.
Perhaps he hasn't played.
What are you talking about? He's been sitting on the sideline watching the game more so than playing the game.
He was solid though.
He definitely. I mean, he had those back-to-back 200-yard games.
He can still be
solid. He had those back-to-back 200-yard games. That was sick, dude.
Well, he's definitely rested.
Yeah, he's good and rested. But why don't you tell me?
So do you think they might address the wide receiver? Like, what round do you start addressing the wide receiver issues?
Well, couldn't you get Thomas in the second round? Don't you think?
That's what I'm saying. Are they going to go for the second round, or do you think they're going to wait for the third and fourth? What do you think?
I can definitely see them getting a wide receiver in the second round, and I would definitely like them to do that if they do find out that Josh Gordon will not be back. If they do know that he will be back, and if they know that he won't, get high again, addressing it in the third round is let's think of it like Rashad Higgins, Leonto Caru. I wouldn't be mad at that. But in the second round, I would like them to get the D line if they were to get like a quarterback or like a Ramsey or a Jack at number 2.
All right, now sticking with the quarterbacks, why don't you give me like a little scout's look at the top quarterback prospects in this draft?
Now, my number one is Carson Wentz, and he just beats out Goff just by a little bit, and that's just mostly because of the potential. Now, Goff is a more NFL-ready quarterback because at Cal, Goff had to make reads before every single play and make adjustments and all, and it's really fun to watch. Also, another thing he does well is that in the pocket, he's very, very aware of like the defensive line coming around him and when it's collapsing, and he's very quick with his feet, and he's just a very smart player. Now with Carson, he's more of a talent kind of player. He doesn't use his head as much, where his arm strength is very good. Like, it's just not him throwing the ball 70 yards downfield. Just the velocity of which he throws the ball is really good. And also, I think just the talent is better. Now, him playing at North Dakota State University is a little worrisome for me, but you just kind of have to look at traits for like every position, that no matter who they're playing, those traits will still show up. But Carson Wentz, I feel like he is the more athletic quarterback who can take more hits, while Goff, he has a smaller hand. He's 6'4", 215, so pretty slender. He's not unathletic himself, but Carson Wentz is definitely more athletic. So I feel like that if Carson Wentz and Goff were to get in their perfect situations, that I feel like Carson would end up being the best quarterback.
Now, can you compare each one of them to a current NFL quarterback, maybe?
I would say Carson Palmer, maybe for like a Carson Wentz, because Carson Palmer back in the day was fairly athletic himself.
USC,
he's got a cannon of an arm, while Jared Goff, that's kind of harder to say because there's not many quarterbacks that come out of the draft that is just very like high instinct, like football IQ for a quarterback. But if I had to make one, and I'm just talking based on like football like IQ and for a quarterback, and not really talent here, but maybe like a Tom Brady. I'm not saying
because he's a general. You're saying
you know
he's
what?
Smart.
And sorry to interrupt, but I think if you're gonna go with a quarterback, you got to go with probably Paxton Lynch, because he's 6'7", 244. Yeah, man.
Not in the first round though, right? You would let him fall maybe, like Carr,
second.
Yeah, like
go for him.
Carr,
Go for Paxton Lynch in the second. Go for your defensive lineman on the 1, get Paxton Lynch at 2, and I think you guys got it because he's
up before
6'7". That's baby Ben right there, bro.
Okay, now let's keep it moving with the offensive side of the ball. What's your breakdown of the running backs?
My number one running back is definitely everyone's number one running back, and that's Ezekiel Elliott. Now, it's got to the point with him where I'm watching film where it's just not even I'm looking to evaluate him. It's to the point where I'm trying to find something that he does wrong. It's not that he's great at everything. I'm trying to find things that he doesn't do well. Now, the 2 or 3 things I love about him is, one, he is a great pass blocker. His pass blocking percentage effectiveness was like 97.4, I believe, which was the highest in the nation. And the second thing is that he has great balance. And what I mean by that is that when you're getting tackled or a defender trying to bring him down, it's to the point where the other defender is like, oh, yeah, he's probably going down. But because of his balance and his ability to keep his feet under himself, he's able to keep going and still go for more yards while that defense, kind of already stopped moving because they thought he was going to go down. But, then he's able to use his speed and his quickness and acceleration, to break it free even farther.
See, I really like... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep talking. I thought you were done there. Go ahead.
Well, I'm done with Ezekiel.
Oh, all right. Well, see, I really like him. I think just him having the way the play action could run with him, I think, would be great. And I think they'd really burn people with him on that play action.
You know what I just forgot is that you guys had Mitchell Schwartz leave your team. So that's a big hole to fill on that offensive line. Mm-hmm. Laramie Tunsil.
Well, I mean,
if he's still there.
Well, no, I mean he's the number 2 overall. The Browns have the number 2 overall.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If he's there,
especially he would definitely be there if the Titans traded out.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So I mean they could square it away with that. But wait, let's let him finish up his thing on running backs though. Who's your?
But you need somebody to block though, because that offensive. It starts with that offensive line creating those gaps.
You're building through the trench.
And not only that, you guys got Duke Johnson. I think he's a good running back. And then who's the number 2 then?
My number 2 is Kenneth Dixon. Now he is pretty similar to an Ezekiel Elliott. That he is he's a good pass blocker, not great, but he's good. I would say maybe he's even a better receiver than Ezekiel is, and Ezekiel's pretty good. But the reason I would say that is that Kenneth, he made some pretty hard catches for a running back. He made some over the shoulder, back shoulder one. But they're both very similar because those are like.
But that's what you got Duke for. Duke's your catching running back. You know, he's your.
Well, he's not just talking about for the Browns. He's just giving.
He's giving us.
Running back.
I was just saying for his squad because I was like, man, dude, because I was like, yo, you guys got Duke.
Kenneth, him and Ezekiel are like the only like top running backs that both have that blend of power and speed. Now, they both have pretty good vision. Ezekiel's is definitely better, but Kenneth is good as well. But I think that Kenneth could be a 3-down running back, maybe even year one, for like a team that's needing him. But he's my second running back in this draft.
All right. Now, real quick, let's tell you, we're talking about some players, some running back with some good motors. And it's always important to keep your motor healthy. So hit up K&N Replacement Air Filters. You guys...
Air filters and oil filters.
Air filters and oil filters. Now, if you go to knfilters.com/podcast, they're going to hook you up with a great deal, all right? They're going to get you some free shipping, and as a bonus, they're going to throw you in a free K&N hat. Now, they've had millions sold since they started in 1969, always been made in Riverside, California, and they're the official air filter.
Lifetime reusable air filters.
There you go. So with that, let's jump back over.
knfilters.com/podcast. Get your great deal on free shipping and that hat.
There you go. Let's talk about linebackers. It's one of my favorite positions. I wish my team would address it. The Giants have not drafted a linebacker in the first round since Carl Banks in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. We used to have LT, Carl Banks, and Harry Carson's all on the same team, and we can't get a linebacker to save our life. We do got Devon Kennard, but tell me about
and you just lost John Beeson. Although John Beeson was, when you acquired him, he was injury prone when he was leaving the Panthers, and
but he was a great leader.
Oh man,
when he was healthy,
because he was so football smart, man. He came out of the U, the U.
Where Antrell roll. All right, but why don't you tell me about, instead of the old linebackers, let's talk about the up-and-coming prospects in this year's draft.
Now, my number one linebacker is also my favorite player in this draft, and that is Miles Jack. This guy can do it all. He can play 5 different positions to be a Pro Bowler at him. I remember reading that from a report that came out several months ago. And he has elite coverage skills. Like, there was times where he was lined up at like the slot corner, and he was doing very well against those wide receivers. And that's like pretty good for a guy who's like 6'1", 245. Now, I think that his 40 would be about probably 4.5 area, which is really good again. Now, one thing is that in the run game, this is something that is really unique to him. I don't really see it ever with any other kind of linebackers. And it's that even like when he's going to meet an offensive lineman who's 6'5", 6'6", he's able to get the first hit on them most of the time. And that's really surprising, because he's 6'1", the height difference, arm length difference is huge. But like when he hits them, he just doesn't hit them. He blows them back. And as a linebacker,
punishes people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say he's probably him and Jalen Ramsey the most violent players in this draft. Now, going back to Miles, he is a very just violent player, and he's even shown on some of the times, just on players where he just has a violent hit or violent just a block on them, and it's just really insane what this guy can do. And it's just, he can play safety, linebacker, or even inside linebacker, or whatever you want him to play. He doesn't really have a set position, and that's what I like most about him.
Where do you think he'll land? Who do you think's going to snag him up?
I hope he falls to the Giants, but I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
Cowboys might grab him.
Cowboys. The Cowboys need.
I could see, out of all the prospects that the Giants are looking at, the Cowboys are kind of tied to them all too. You know what I mean? Now, Pro Football Focus.
I guess we'll look into that further.
Pro Football Focus, in their latest mock draft, they had Jack falling all the way down to the Giants.
Wow.
But for the reason being, with him being more of a 4-3 guy, see, this usually screws over the Giants. Them playing in the 4-3, there's a lot more 3-4 players. You know what I mean? But so they're thinking a lot of teams might pass on him for that and the knee injury, and just because people don't value linebackers. But I'll tell you what, if the Giants could scoop him out at 10, I would be delighted.
That would be a huge steal for the Giants.
Yeah. So who's number 2 and number 3? Like who's Who's pro-ready? Who's pro-ready in your mind? Who's your top 3 pro-ready?
The most pro-ready was probably Jalen Smith, who's also my number 2. But as of now, it doesn't look like he's going to be playing in 2016, which is really upsetting because he might even fall the first round now, as where before he was a top 6, top 7. But with Jalen, when he was healthy, is that he's just kind of barely under a Miles Jack, and he's like an inside linebacker. And his coverage skills aren't bad by any means. I would say they're like above average. But he has really good instincts, and the only kind of problem I have with him is when the ball is ran up the middle, sometimes he can get washed away by an offensive lineman. When that doesn't happen,
he gets caught in the wash, yeah, you got to be careful. That's a bad habit. You got to break that.
Yeah, and also when he isn't caught in the wash and he engages with an offensive lineman, he's able to shock snap, and that lineman he will hit the ground. It's funny to watch, a guy who's like 6'2", 225, be able to throw a 6'6", 300-pound guy in the ground. And also, one part that I don't think many people talk about as much, that I think they should, is that he's a pretty solid pass rusher, or at least he has the tools to be one, because the Notre Dame defense was absolutely decimated this year with injuries, so he wasn't really able to be a pass rusher as much because they needed to keep him more at like a steady linebacker role. But I was able to watch some film during practice, and he was he had great bend. He already had great speed and acceleration. But one move that I don't think many players can pull off because it requires such great power, balance, and just like speed is that he could pull off the spin move pretty well. Now I know it was against just like scout team offensive line, but still, just like the technique was there. And it's just really impressive to watch, but it's also really upsetting, because I was actually watching what happened to him in the Fiesta Bowl this year when he played Ohio State, and he tore up his knees. But yeah, he's definitely my second linebacker.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to touch on? Because we're pretty much we're getting kind of short on time, but we really appreciate you coming on. I'm sure you'll be calling back in, always telling us what's going on with the Browns and just giving us a look on some of these players. We'll be checking in with you throughout the season. You got anything else before we get out of here, man?
No, I just thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, why don't you plug your Twitter handle in case people want to get a hold of you?
My name is @Callahan Scout.
All right, @Callahan Scout. Look him up on Twitter. Give him a follow. Colin, thanks for coming on, man. We'll catch you later.
Thanks. All right, goodbye.
All right, how's everybody doing out there today? Thanks for tuning in to this special edition Voice of Bedlam podcast. If you want to take that next jump with your business or company, you need to come over and advertise on the Voice of Bedlam podcast. Get your ad heard by thousands on a reoccurring basis. Just click buy now and send us your info. Thanks a lot, guys.